This segment is brought to you by Geico. Geico, 15 minutes save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com to see how much you can save. Here to give us some of his NFL storylines to watch as the NFL Combine begins, our analyst, Danny Kanell. Now, this draft class is said to not be as stacked at the QB position, right, like we've seen in recent years, but there are still some guys in this group that could be sleeper picks. Danny, who are 3 quarterbacks that we should be watching for?
All right, Sherry, you're 100% right, too, because there's not that just consensus overall pick. Think Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow that everybody's clamoring for, and there's indecision at the top, but there is some value as you go deeper. So that being said, I have Kenny Pickett as my number 1 quarterback, so I'm not going to include him here because I don't think the combine matters that much for him. If I was him, I would just say throw in the tape. So I got 3 other guys that I have my eye on, starting with Matt Corral, the quarterback from Ole Miss. Now, he obviously was hurt in his bowl game against Michigan State, hurt that ankle. So I think this is a really, really important week for him at the combine to showcase not only that he's healthy, but that it hasn't impacted his throwing, that he's back to full speed, that he can go out there and he can make all the throws and go through all the mechanical issues that they're going to want to see. And I also think the interview process is big for him, to go through those interview rooms and to blow the scouts away. His system takes a lot of criticism, so show that you're capable of handling an NFL system. So Matt Corral's the first one I have my eyes on. Then I'm going to go to Liberty's Malik Willis. Now, this is an exciting, dynamic player who had an outstanding week at the Senior Bowl. Really blew away a lot of the scouts with his ability to throw in inclement weather because it was cold and rainy in Mobile, but also because of the way the ball came off his hand. We see him running on these highlights. That's what people think of when they think of Malik Willis, but he's more than that. He's got an electric arm that needs to be reined in a little bit because the accuracy has come into play. But he could be a smaller version, shorter version of Josh Allen. Small school, not playing with much talent around him, that tried to do a little bit too much at times, but the upside could be absolutely off the charts. Finally, I'll go to another incredible upside quarterback who for some reason has just been completely flying under the radar, despite winning 44 games as a starter. Desmond Ritter at Cincinnati. He's got prototypical NFL size, 6'4", a little bit slight at 207, but you could easily bulk that up. He could run at possible 4.55 in the 40, and he's made all the throws. His system didn't ask him to do a lot. Again, another guy who accuracy could improve somewhat, but if he showcases his arm strength and his versatility, his athleticism at the combine, I think he could be somebody who a team could find real value in the second round. And that, to me, is where the value is going to be found in this draft. I would not want to be picking any of these quarterbacks in the first round, but in the second or third, I would love to take one of these upside potential guys because the ceiling could be extremely high for some of these.
And we got to make the point here that we have to wait to see Corral throw. According to NFL Network, he will not be throwing in Indy this week. So leaving a little bit there to be desired. But how about the guys that are going to be throwing the ball to, Danny? Which in that position group wide receivers are jumping out to you?
So again, Sherry, there's no consensus number 1 guy out of the wide receiving class. There's a lot of guys you'll see atop different mock drafts or wide receiver ranking positions. So there's an incredible opportunity for a lot of players to potentially make significant moves off a strong combine and pro days that are coming up over the foreseeable future. I'll start off with George Pickens because the size is there, and that's something that you can't teach, size, and he's a player that's been injured a lot at Georgia, but he was a highly touted recruit coming out, went to Georgia, lit it up his first year as the starter, and then his season really was derailed by injury, was banged up, but every time he got healthy, his 6'3", 200-pound frame just jumped off the film to you. You see him making a play here in the national championship game, really sparked that Georgia team to really get it done there in the fourth quarter, in the second half. So I think George Pickens, they're going to love his physicality. They're going to love his route running ability. He's got outstanding hands. It's just, how does his body hold up? So the medical evaluations that will take place in Indianapolis, I think, will be imperative for him. Then I'm going to go a little bit deeper for you, Sherry. I'm going to go a little bit off the board and go out to the Mountain West and look at a guy named Romeo Dubs out of Nevada. Great name, but he's also got great skills as well. Catching passes from Carson Strong, who's another quarterback to keep your eye on. But he's a 4-year starter who's had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. This past season, in his breakout season, he averaged over 100 yards a game at Nevada. He's explosive. He's a deep ball threat, and he's great after the catch. That's a quarterback's best friend. You got a big target, you can get the ball to quickly, and then let him do all the work. He can make up a ton of ground once that ball is in his hand. So Romeo Dubs, another guy to keep an eye out for. Now, when I was looking at the film of Desmond Ritter, the quarterback for Cincinnati, one of his wide receivers just kept jumping out to me. And that's my third wide receiver to keep an eye on. It's Alec Pierce out of Cincinnati. And if you notice a trend here, Sherry, I like my receivers tall with a wide wingspan, because if you throw it in their vicinity, they're going to come down with it. And Alec Pierce at 6'3", 213 pounds, has got height and he's got physicality to go up and get those 50-50 balls for you. And he's an incredible athlete who played 4 sports in high school. So I love the athleticism there. He's versatile in where he can play. He could be an X or a slot receiver. Think of somebody like Cooper Kupp. If he runs a sub 4.4, which is very lofty expectations, I think he could make a big jump at the combine. So I finish off my wide receiver and crew with Alec Pierce out of Cincinnati.
Any comparison to Cooper Kupp is high praise, so definitely something to watch out for. All right, let's stick with the offense, turning our attention now to the backfield. Let's talk running backs. Who are a few of these guys, ground and pound, that you're excited to watch in Indy this week?
So I'm with our guy Pete Prisco, and I think this class will kind of set this straight, that you should never take a running back in the first round. And there's not really again, like a Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey where it's automatic top 10 pick. So I think you could find some value here. And I'll start off with Iowa State's Breece Hall, who had a fantastic year 2 years ago in a COVID-impacted year when he led the Big 12 in rushing, was one of the best running backs in the country there from Matt Campbell's squad. But after a year of watching that on tape, opposing defenses were like, all right, we're going to stack the box. So the numbers didn't translate this past season, but he still showcased the ability to handle a strong workload. He was great out of the backfield. He's got good hands. He can run really good routes. I think he's the best back coming out. He's been really consistent at Iowa State. And I think if you're looking for somebody who's ready to carry the workload, can handle the ball, carry the ball 3 downs in a row, can pick up pass protections, Breece Hall is your guy. Now, Sherry, my next back that I want to talk to out of Missouri, everyone roots for the little guy, right? We all do that. So I love Tyler Baity out of Missouri. He's only 5'8", which is tiny, but think of the great backs that have come out. Barry Sanders. I played with one, Warwick Dunn. You don't have to be huge to dominate this position as long as you're tough. And that's the way Tyler Baity runs. He had 5 200-yard rushing games this past season. And the thing that's great about it, it was in the SEC, the most physical conference in college football. And 3 of those games came against SEC opponents, and 2 of them came against out-of-conference opponents. So it wasn't like he was doing it against weaker competition. So Tyler Baity's somebody to keep your eye out for. He's got good hands out of the backfield, could improve his vision a little bit, but I love the way he carries that rock. And then finally, so if you had thunder and lightning, I guess Tyler Baity would be your lightning. Let's get to the thunder, because another guy out of the Mountain West, independent, played a lot of Mountain West teams, played a lot of Pac-12 teams, was BYU's Tyler Algiere. Now he's 5'10", 220 pounds. And once he gets moving, he is tough to bring down. I think he's the most physical runner in this class. You might give up a little bit in the top end breakaway speed and the ability to get a 70-yard touchdown run, but he is not going down with one tackler. He runs harder and he gets stronger as the game goes on. So I think Tyler Algiere will be somebody that a team will get a great value in, and a guy who could play a long time in the NFL, even with that really physical style of running attack.
Well, who do you think is going to be strutting into Lucas Oil Stadium? Who's going to be your one player to watch? Because you are a solid follow on Instagram, Danny Kanell, and I got to say, do not quit your day job. Please don't go into modeling. You are strutting down your hallway. Here it is, again with the kicks. Who is your player to watch where you think is going to be just strutting his stuff this week?
Yeah, I'll definitely keep my day job. Although, I was tempted to go to Milan and try my hand walking the runway, but we'll go. I got to put food on the table for my daughters. So now, I talked to everybody roots for the little guy, and Tyler Baity, the running back, but everybody loves the big man. And there's some big men in this draft, but none bigger than Daniel Fahale out of Minnesota. 6'8.5", 380 pounds. And he was discovered in high school at the IMG Academy. And PJ Fleck at Minnesota said, I got to get this guy out in my team And he's really done a good job developing. He hadn't played much football, but when you're that big, you're almost forced to play the game. And he's really come along nicely, showcasing some nice athleticism. To me, it's all about his workout. If he showcases agility, a solid 40 time, and, just kind of showcases what everybody's looking at, I think he could be somebody that scouts are drooling over as a long-term project. He's not going to be one of the top 3 or 4 tackles that are taken, but some team will find that size irresistible to take a shot out in the NFL.
All right, time now for the Geico 15-second statement. A bold prediction for the Combine. Go for it.
So right now, we don't know who the clear-cut overall #1 wide receiver is. But after the NFL Combine, we will. Watch out for Treylon Burks at Arkansas because the dude is a physical specimen, 6'3", 215 pounds. I think he's going to fly in the 40. He's got great hands, a great route runner, and once the scouts see him go through his workout, see him showcase his skills, I think all of a sudden all that indecision will be crystal clear and Treylon Burks will be at the top of a great group of wide receivers.
It's going to be a great week. We can't wait. Danny Kanell, our NFL analyst and amateur runway model. We appreciate the time. Thank you. Now, don't miss a minute of the action. Make sure you keep it right here on CBS Sports HQ this week. We're bringing you live coverage and analysis from Lucas Oil Stadium there in Indianapolis. Our experts breaking down all the players you need to know. That's this week right here on CBS Sports HQ, live from the NFL Combine.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.